Good evening. Thank you for joining us. I'm Tim Mary with the Virginia Baseball Coaches Association. We've just celebrated our third birthday thanks to the support of our members, vendors, partners, and sponsors. I also want to thank Liberty Baseball, Coach Scott Jackson, Coach Tyler Cannon, Coach Matt Williams, and Coach Tyler Jackson for making this virtual clinic a reality. We've got a full agenda tonight with defense, infield, and outfield. Between the two segments, we'll do a Q&A, and at the end, we'll also do a Q&A that the Liberty staff will address. Thank you, and have a good evening.
Okay, thanks. I appreciate everybody joining us. Certainly looking forward to just sharing some things that we think can help, whether you're a college coach, a high school coach, I think some things that have been the foundation of our program. This is our 5th year as a coaching staff here, so I'm excited to introduce my assistant, Tyler Cannon. He's been here with us. This is his 5th year, works with our hitters and our infielders. And Tyler Jackson, this is his 1st year with us. He works with our catchers and our hitters. So excited to welcome all of you and those guys to just a night where, again, we can feel like we share some things that I hope you can use, that you can take back to your program. I think the most important thing for us was to share some things that were helpful, that no matter what your situation is as a coach, no matter what your resources are, I think you can get something out of this, and you can take it back to your players, and we can all get better. Certainly want to thank Tim and the Virginia Baseball Coaches Association just for their efforts in making Liberty part of this tonight and moving forward, and to be a resource for us as we connect with other coaches, most importantly, high school coaches across the state of Virginia. So as we go into tonight, it's going to be about some defensive things that I think have changed our program. Some things that have been really impactful on the growth of our players, really put an emphasis for us on what we want to focus on in our program in those areas. And then once we get out of the defensive part of it tonight, we'll get into the hitting side of it. So again, excited to share some things with you. I'll go ahead and start as we get into this with a little bit of a PowerPoint that I think you guys will like, that'll allow you to kind of follow right along with me and give you a chance to see some of the same things that we're seeing, some video, just some of the stuff that we can emphasize as we go through this. Okay, so here's the PowerPoint here as we get into it. Again, these are just some routines. We start practice every day with these activities. We call them our position play time, and it really varies for us as we get into it, how much time that we've got during practice that day. Just how much time we're going to spend on some of different areas. It might be 10 minutes, it might be 40 minutes, but everything that I'm going to show you tonight, you should be able to fit in to about 40 minutes. What this does in our practice is it allows our pitchers to finish their throwing in left field. It allows us to kind of all go our separate ways and focus on some repetitions, some things that we want to do every single day to lay the foundation, to set the tone for practice. We'll never start practice with batting practice here at Liberty. We'll always start with defense, and let me get into this and show you some things and start to talk about the emphasis that we use on a daily basis. We wanted to put a premium on defense. I think I mentioned that in the opening. When we got here, it was a lot more about offense for some of the players, and we had to really get down and get dirty with a lot of the things we wanted to do defensively. Honestly, it really stemmed from being tired of watching catch play and warm up, some lazy catch, some just non-productive time for us in practice. And we figured our guys could loosen up, our guys could loosen their arms, and we could get a lot of reps while we were doing it. The other thing I didn't want to do, and this is kind of some trial and error as a coach throughout my career, is I hate it when the outfielders loosen their arms and then they wait around for an extended period of time, and then we ask them to make game-like throws in our team defense part. So in order to eliminate that, we usually will loosen their arms in the middle of the warm-up. I'll show you that. As we get into it, I think our position play is an extension of our dynamic warm-up from our strength coach. As we start to get into some movements before practice that are movement patterns that you're going to need as a player, awareness of your body, we go through that in our warm-up, and now we're going to take it to the skill part of baseball and what we're doing in each different position. The other thing that I really like, especially for our infielders, it encourages versatility. You'll actually see some of our first basemen doing some things as infielders. They don't look good doing it. But we ask them to get out of their comfort zone and do some things that will allow them to maybe reach some potential that they wouldn't have necessarily by just staying locked in on one position. Again, this part of our practice can be tailored to fit the practice plan. How much time do we have? What's our emphasis? Whatever it may be, we can do that. The most important part I want to make here is that when we got here and established the foundation for our players of how we were going to do every single thing, how we were going to field a ball to our left, how we were going to field a slow roller, how our outfielders were going to attack a ball that was in their lane, how they were going to attack a ball that was hit to their left that they've got to be able to get back into the infield. We wanted to lay a foundation and a philosophy and have that in place so that we could always go back to it when there was a mistake in a scrimmage or a mistake in a game. So what this has done for us is it's really laid a foundation for us to build on and coach off of based on just some fundamental stuff that's part of the philosophy of what we do every day. Our players have embraced it. I'll go back to 2 players that were in the intro there. You can see Jalen number 1 and Cam number 18. That's our center fielder and that's our shortstop. And those 2 guys have embraced this more than anybody. And it's kind of filtered down into the rest of our players. And they bring energy to this every day. It's something that I think has really grown because of their attitude and the way that they've embraced it. Now there's players coaching each other and they're helping each other. We've got a lot of older players in our program, like a lot of teams do, during this season with COVID. So it's been fun to watch them coach each other and really start to hit on some of those things that are a part of our philosophy. It makes you feel really good as a coach. And the last part I wanted to add here is that it travels with us. So when we go on the road on a Thursday night practice, we're able to get out there and go right into this position play where our infielders are getting used to the surface. We play on an artificial surface, so this is important for us as we go into Florida and some of those Bermuda grass infields, and the dirt starts to get a little bit more firm. It allows our guys to get reps right out of the gate and get comfortable with the surface that we're playing on. And the same thing goes for the outfielders, not just the playing surface, but the way the ball plays off the wall and all the facets that go with going on the road and getting used to a new ballpark. Okay, as we get into this, you're probably wondering what it looks like. Okay, this is how it looks for us as we start practice every day. You can see the pitchers have left field there. That's pretty much their time and their area to get going with their catch play and with their daily throwing. Might be some long toss stuff. Some guys might just be going to 90. Some guys might come in and throw a flat ground. And we want the pitchers to have all the time that they need there. I've really tried to put an emphasis in our program of stressing how important the pitchers are to us and how much time we want to give them on a daily basis. So as we're letting them finish their throwing before they come down and come into team defense, this is what our position play looks like here. Our outfielders are going to go to right field. You can see I've got a fungo man that I use. You can use a fungo as well as we start to get into these drills. And I'm basically just hitting from that right field foul line right behind first base into right field every day. Our infielders are going to go right there to the 4-hole. And you can see I've got fungo put right there on the mound because Coach Cannon's pretty much standing right behind the mound as he takes our infielders through their progression each day. We start in the 4-hole and we work our way all the way around to the third baseline. And I'll show you what that looks like here in a minute. And then our catchers are usually working somewhere in foul territory off of a machine, whether it be blocking or receiving. And in addition to that, they may come into home plate there. You can see the arrows. They'll eventually catch some balls from our infielders if we do some infield in stuff and just a different, variety there with some of the stuff that they do. So how does it look? What do we want it to look like? I've captured some video for you. I want to show that to you. Before we get into that, I want to touch on the infield part, and I'll start with that. What are some of our teaching points? What's the foundation for what we do? The biggest thing that resonated with our players anytime they come into our program is that we want you to play fast. We want you to stay under the ball, and that's where we'll start with this. They'll do some bare hand stuff, but the faster you play, the more mistakes you're going to make, and that's a good thing. It's okay to make mistakes. We encourage that. We want our guys to make mistakes. It provides us with a teaching point from a coaching perspective, and it allows them to really focus on what they're doing because there's no variable here, right? There's no base runner. There's no umpire. We're just trying to hone fundamental skills on the infield with their feet and their hands to be able to carry that into gameplay and for them to play a tick above where they are today. Doesn't have to be, to the mountaintop in a week, but if they just take some steps forward for us each day, we hope that they can get there. We're going to emphasize the feet first. So every time we start, we're going to start by hitting balls to our infielders right. So their feet have to move. They've got to beat the ball to the spot and be able to play through that and get the ball to first base. We use one hand here. It's a one-hand, bare hand stuff as we start, just to emphasize glove angle. You can't cheat. It's going to give you instant feedback, and you've got to be able to focus and get yourself to that spot each time. Getting the ball from the glove to the hand is something that we've stressed. Obviously, you can't get the ball to first base until you do that. So being able to exchange that and make that as clean as possible is a big emphasis for us each day as we go through this. We're going to ask our guys to stay in rhythm as we move all the way across the left side of the infield. So as a tendency sometimes for your steps to get a little bit longer, for you to maybe rush a little bit more as we go to the left side of the infield because it's a longer throw, and we really want to emphasize with our guys about staying in rhythm and allowing the body and the feet, the feet, the hands, the arm, the whole body to work together. We're going to ask them to be creative and really experiment here. Switch arm slots, be able to catch the ball, spin and throw to first base, maybe some things that you've never really tried to do before. Hey, let's try to do them and let's try to get good at them. And, again, the biggest thing we're going to do is try to get them out of their comfort zone. We'll video this, on a daily basis, and we'll allow them to do some things that, hopefully they can see on the video and understand what the right way to do and the wrong way to do it is and how we can close the gap there as we get going. And you can see Coach Cannon hits that first ball to the right. We boot the first one. Again, it's going to happen. These are bare hand drills. That's Aaron right there, one of our first basemen. He's in the mix here too. And you can kind of tell with the way these guys move to start, which guys play which positions for us. So each guy here, as I watch some of these young freshmen and I watch them go through the routine and some of the transfers that we have that are in our program, it's easy to think back to day one when they got here and where they are now at this point and how much better that they've gotten. Trey, who just fielded that ball, is in his 5th year for us. So you've got kind of a variety here of guys at different points in their career, guys that are used to this routine that have gotten really good at it. There's Will Wagner. He gets to cheat. His hands are so big that this isn't as difficult for him as it is for some. But you get my point here as we move across the back edge of the infield. You can see we'll keep going there. And again, this is really to the point back when we start getting into that 6 hole where we ask our guys to really stay in rhythm. You saw Drew boot that ball right there and have to recover with his bare hand because you don't have the glove on your hand. Again, that's going to happen in a game. So this is another point of emphasis, I think, for us, is that it encourages good habits if you do boot the ball, that you're used to going down there and getting it with your bare hand. So again, these guys, they've embraced this every day. This is a first baseman right here going through that drill. So I think it allows them to get out of their comfort zone and do some things that, they've never been asked to do at that point in their career. They've never been asked to do it, and it allows them to, build a little bit more athleticism, have some more mobility. As we've gone through this, and this has evolved, okay, it's evolved into simply just what you saw. That's how we started. We started in the 4 hole and we just moved our way across the infield. And when we first got here, that was our routine. That was what we did each day. And as we've had game examples of, hey, we need to work on that play. Hey, we don't touch on this enough in practice. Let's add that to the routine today. And it really, again, it just depends on what you want to emphasize that day and how much time you have. So I'm going to show you 2 variations that we have added into the routine that our guys have really, they've really grown to enjoy it. They've challenged each other, and it's been fun to watch them. The first one's going to be a slow roller variation where we just felt like we needed to get better in a lot of areas with that. So we put our players at third base and we started to vary speed of the ball. We started to vary the angle of the throw. And now this has really become a big part of, what we're doing each and every day with our position players and a big part of the routine. And you can see here, here's Ty, who's a freshman, who's getting better at some of this. But again, here's a first baseman. He may never need that play, but it could be another, slow roller where we've got to get a forced play at home. A bunch of different things come into play here, and we want our guys, their feet to get better. We want them to play as fast as they can, get to the ball as in a direct line, as much of a direct line as possible. Here's Aaron. He's another first baseman here who's gotten a lot better. And one of the things that we've really emphasized here is to get the ball to the throwing hand at the right hip. So again, you can ask them to focus on one specific thing here without having to worry about, a runner getting down the line. Hey, let's just master this skill right here, and hopefully it shows up by the time we get there into a game when you're having to do it when it matters. Here's a good slow-mo of Trey McDyer that shows you just that, catching the ball off the right foot, getting it to the throwing hand, and getting it out. He's our third baseman. He's really, really good at that, and it's something that he's really had to work hard on since he got here. Okay, here's another variation. Okay, so let's say, for example, we just finished the throws from the third baseline, or we just finished the slow rollers, or we're not going to do slow rollers today. We're just going to put ourselves in two lines on the left side of the infield. Okay, you'll see we've got a line of guys on the right. There goes Aaron. He's one of our first basemen, so he's going to play that like a 3-6 ball. Ethan's one of our second basemen. He's going to flip as a second baseman there. There you can see Will. So we've just taken that one skill, whether it's a double play feed from a 4-6 or a 3-6, and we're asking our guys to just break down the footwork. There's Josh. He's a second baseman. Here's another play. Cam's our shortstop. Hey, we never practiced that 6-5 play. That ball that goes in the 6 hole, that's the only play I might have. How does the footwork, how does that look? How can I get better with that? Our shortstops in that line on the right-hand side. Here's Ty. He's another one. We're just practicing that 5-6 play. Could be a tag play that day. Could be a force play. I might just bark it out. Hey, this is a tag play. So the throw needs to be down and below the waist to where we can get the tag in a little bit better position. And then we'll move our second baseman. You can see Will here moving to his left. And again, we're just shrinking the field a little bit there, and we're trying to do some things with our guys to emphasize some skill development that maybe isn't traditionally what you would do in an infield type setting. And then we'll simply go back. I'll start this video where we're back there on the third base line, and you can see Josh moving. Now we're moving to our left. Okay, so we started from the 4 hole. We moved all the way to the third base line. We might have thrown a variation or two in there, and now we're going to move back with balls to our left. This is really where we're going to ask our guys to push it a little bit with having to get to the ball a little bit further away from them, switch arm angles, really challenge them. Coach Cannon does a good job every day of emphasizing, hey, don't worry about catching the ball until you get to the ball, and allowing our guys to really work to get there. Here's Drew, a first baseman again. Get those guys out of their comfort zone. It's going to make them better athletes. We all know how important that position is for us, and it allows us to, make our players better just by asking them to be able to control their feet and get their body in positions that maybe they've never asked themselves to. Again, you're going to make mistakes there. You can see Cade. He's got to move a little bit better for us. There's Will. He's an easy one to challenge because he's got a good motor and a really, really good first step. There's Aaron. Okay, there's a play that he could easily have to make at first base where the ball's hit down the line and he's got to feed the pitcher covering. So again, you can tailor this. You can mix it up. Now Coach Cannon's hitting that ball a little bit slower. So it's a slow roller that's hit to my left, but it's taking me to first base instead of away from first base. I want to go ahead and touch on the first baseman. Okay, do not leave them out. This is critical. You've asked them to do some other stuff there on the left side of the infield, and now we'll get specific with them and focus on them here as we start the last part of the bare hand. Kind of jumped ahead of myself there a little bit, but I want to show you our first baseman here. Again, this was something we added because I didn't want to leave our first baseman out, right? So, again, we're just turning a 3-6 here as we hold the runner. You can see Coach Cannon's going to get down on a knee there with the fungo. You want the ball to stay down here and force those guys to, again, you don't want to hit it too hard to where they're given with the ball too much because it's bare hand work. But again, you can see just what we're trying to emphasize here. One thing that I want to be very specific with is to make sure the guys come off the bag on time like Trey just did right there. Okay, watch how late Cade is here. Okay, he's late. That's not game-like. That's not game-like at all. He makes the play pretty well. He's a good athlete, but making sure they come off the bag on time because the fungo is closer, that's a real big point of emphasis for me so that you get as game-like as you can get with your reps. And you can see Logan here. He's pretty good. He's a bigger kid, but he's gotten a lot better. Okay, here's what our infielders are doing. They've got their gloves on. Here's what our middle guys are doing during that. Will, we're going to ask him to treat it like he's a second baseman there, okay? So Will's not a shortstop for us. So Ethan's a second baseman, so we're going to ask them. Ty's a shortstop, so he's going to treat it like, hey, I'm trying to get my feet angled to first to get rid of that baseball. But you can see Will there is coming across the bag like he's a second baseman. So even though the feed's coming from the first baseman, we kind of flip the field there a little bit and give everybody a chance to get some reps here that are specific to their position. So Josh is a second baseman here, so you'll see him come across the bag a little bit. There we go. That's kind of the framework of our routine each day. We're going to put our gloves on now. So everything you've seen up to that point has all been bare hand work. It's easy to play on artificial turf. We want to challenge our guys to use their bare hand. It forces you to play under the ball so that when we get ready to go on the road, we've got some framework and we've got some reps there. The guys are used to having to play under the ball because we use the bare hand quite a bit. So now we'll go put the glove on. We may use the paddle, the training paddle, where we're going to ask our guys to really emphasize that, that good glove angle and sticking the ball, fingers behind the ball, all the things that you're going to teach every day. We're going to ask our guys to use those some in this drill. The other part of it is just varying the pace of the ball. We're going to get close with the fungo, and we're going to be a little bit more firm now. We spend a lot of time on the right side of the infield because it doesn't tax the arm. So if you're trying to make these throws on the left side, I just think you're putting too much on your guys. And you could see Coach Cannon's going to, we're going to make them play with one hand. That's a different angle there with that throw. He's going to make them move their feet a little bit. You can see Aaron's, he's got to get better, but he boots that ball and recovers with the bare hand like we would want him to. And we can vary the hop. Here's Cam, our shortstop. He's going to stick that ball and keep his fingers behind it. Those guys on the left have the paddle on. And the guys on the right, we're just trying to emphasize, again, the first step, the angle. You can see Coach is doing a good job with the fungo of varying the hop. Here's another variation that we've done, okay? This is our shortstop playing in a shift with a left-handed hitter, and the ball's grounded right up the middle. He's going to have to worry about fielding the ball, stepping on the bag, and getting rid of it. And you can see we're doing that from different angles here. Again, something that, hey, Coach, we hadn't practiced this, and it comes up in a game. We want our guys to be used to doing it, and it not be something that we haven't practiced to where, oh, man, this isn't something I'm comfortable doing because I've never done it before. All of a sudden, this ball's hit to me in a game, and I don't know how to handle it. So from our perspective, we think this is important and something that there's a ball right there that Ty has to play through in order to get the out at first and not get the double play. So again, there's a bunch of different things that you can do with that, and putting their gloves on them. And now we're all going to go to our positions. Okay. So our outfielders are starting to finish their routine. Our pitchers are finishing their throwing, and we're starting to get closer to team defense. Okay. I'll start the video here on this last piece. We're going to go ahead and say, hey, let's field some slow rollers while the legs are somewhat fresh. We'll go all the way around the infield here. We're asking our guys to play as fast as they possibly can. No variable, right? We're just fielding the baseball. Hey, get out of your comfort zone and come get the ball faster than you've ever been asked to do it before, and you'd be amazed. That's what we're looking for here. We're just looking for the speed of the game. Can you be ahead of the speed of the game that we want you to play at and get rid of the baseball? Ethan's gotten a lot better with it. Now we're going to hit some balls with the infield in. Okay, some of these you can tell right there. These are tag plays. So the runners from thirds going on contact, and we want to deliver that ball below the waist so that we can be on time with the tag. We're going to go all the way around the infield. I don't think teams practice this enough. And now all of a sudden you're going to bring the infield in a big moment in the game, and your guys haven't made this play enough to where they're comfortable with it. And being able to throw the ball to the plate and have a purpose for what they're doing. So sometimes it could be a force play with the bases loaded. And we're just trying to slow down and pretend home plate is first base and make sure we get that out. Other times it's going to be a tag play. The majority of the time it's going to be a tag play. So we always want to miss down. If we're going to miss with a throw, We want it to be down instead of up because that runner's got a chance to beat the throw pretty easily when we miss up. Last thing we're going to do is start turning double plays, okay? So this is our last phase before we get the rest of the team down here, get into team practice. We're going to turn double plays, and we're going to do it probably a little bit non-routine, if we will. These look a little routine to start, but you'll see here in just a minute, we try to get out of that and try to do some things with turning double plays as a group, when there's a shift on. This is what it could look like here. Left-handed hitter, ball hit to the third baseman slowly. Our shortstop's got to come approach the bag from a different angle, something that, again, we're sitting there talking in practice as a coaching staff or up in the office. Hey, we need to practice this more. If we're going to shift our kids that much in a game, we need to practice them. Here's Cam. Ball's hit right up the middle. That's that same play we were working on earlier. He's got to be used to making that play. Ties our other shortstop. Same thing here. There becomes a focus and a concentration part there. The ball, the bag, and the runner are arriving at the same time. So again, here's a ball that's hit way in the 4-hole. Our shortstop is approaching the bag at kind of an awkward angle, an angle he's not used to. I love this one right there. We got a fifth-year senior and a freshman right there in the middle, that have got to communicate on that ball. Trey takes over, and there you go. There's a 6-5-3 double play. That's just kind of a synopsis of what we're trying to do each and every day with our infielders to allow them to grow and to get out of that comfort zone, and more importantly, lay that foundation.
Hello again. Heading into year 4, the VBCA needs your continued or new support as a member to help us accomplish our mission of uniting, educating, developing, and supporting baseball coaches in Virginia. The VBCA feels that better coaches equal better players equal better people. I hope you'll consider joining or renewing this evening. Thank you.
Okay, guys, just wanted to touch base and kind of circle back and just really, answer any questions you guys have. I know that was kind of a crash course on kind of our infield warm up and some of the stuff we do, each and every day. A couple questions here I want to address that have popped up. Number one, the slow roller, not a do or die. Do you teach specifically fielding outside the left foot, or does it really matter? I think for us, for the most part, it just really depends on, each guy, what they're comfortable with. I don't want to lock it into, you have to field it a certain way. But for us, for the most part, we want you to get to that ball as fast as you can. I think habits are really something important. Anytime the ball's hit slowly to you, to be able to get that ball to your throwing hand and get it out. So watching each kid and kind of seeing what they're comfortable with. Again, for us, trying to get the ball out of the glove and to the right hip. That's really the big thing for me is trying to train that so that you can get rid of the baseball and stay in rhythm. Another question here, do you prefer live fungo over machine for randomness, direction? Different variable there. For us on our turf, I think I prefer the machine. And here's why. I think as you hit fungos as a coach, if you're not going to hit them really, really firm each and every day, your guys start to creep in a little bit. They start to kind of cut their angles down. And I want to make sure our guys, have their feet underneath them and their angles are really, really good and game-like each and every day. So if you notice, watch your guys as you hit fungos. If they start to lean forward and creep a little bit, you're going to start to get them cheating a little bit and crunching those angles. And in my opinion, they're training themselves in some bad habits there that aren't going to be good when it comes time to have to field that rocket off of a bat, in a game that's coming off hard. So I prefer the machines, but I think there's a time and a place for both. Obviously, when we travel on the road, we can't bring all those machines with us. So we're going to have to hit fungos, like traditional BP fungos. But I want to train good habits on our home field every day in practice. And to do that, we use the machine. We put a lot of top spin on it. it's challenging, and you have to concentrate. Another question here: how much time is allotted to this portion of infield play? I'll go. Some of that you saw what we would. That's the whole gamut of it. Usually we don't have that much time each day. We'll sit up and plan practice and emphasize, hey, when we go into the routine today, let's just do it, all the way through from the 4-hole to the third base line, and let's just keep it light. Sometimes it might be a Thursday. We've been traveling, and we just want to get our guys moving a little bit at home, and not tax them too much. And then other days, where we've really got to emphasize some things. I would say on average, we probably dedicate 20 to 25 minutes each day for that part of it. Another question here: when the infielders are working from the 4-hole to the 6-hole, what are your left-handed first basemen doing? Great question. You saw Logan there. He's coming off of a knee surgery, so we didn't have him participating in that part of the video. But what we'll do is we'll take a manager and we'll put him in front of the fungo, obviously dodging the fungo, but our left-handed guys will field that ball and flip it to the manager standing in front of the fungo, simulating fielding a ground ball and flipping it to our pitcher covering first base. So great question there. We'll just insert a manager or another player, maybe an injured player, somebody that can help us through that progression so that those left-handed first basemen get game-like reps as well. So any other questions, please jump in, guys. Let us know.
And Coach, I'll add a little bit to that. The biggest thing with our infielders is we really just try to create as much athleticism as we can. And that's by, hitting balls at different speeds, throwing balls at different arm angles. To go back on the slow roller, we really we tell our guys, just get to the ball as quickly as you can, and the feet will kind of take care of itself. Because, you don't really have time to get around the ball, especially at this level. When we got guys going down the line pretty quickly, if we're trying to get around the ball, they're gaining an extra step to first base. So we're trying to get the ball as quickly as we can in a direct line, and the feet really kind of take care of themselves. The more you play around with it, if you only do it, once a week, then it's going to be a struggle. But these guys do this, it's a daily routine. And it's the same thing with the first baseman, as you saw. Even with a lefty first baseman, we'll have them go around the infield, just trying to create athleticism, trying to move their feet. Logan has done an unbelievable job. You can see he's a bigger kid as a freshman. He really struggled with this. And that's, like Coach Jackson talked about early in the session, we want guys to struggle because you can only grow and develop, when you're really pushing the envelope and you're trying to get better. You're trying to make a mistake because you're moving too fast. And you can, in our eyes, you can't really move too fast. So really just, and that's where all this stuff really came from, is just trying to create athleticism, trying to create anticipation, getting comfortable, throwing from different arm angles, because as infielders, you're not going to be able to throw it from an overtop slot all the time. It's just not going to work. You're trying to field balls on the run, double play feeds, turns, all kinds of different scenarios that we try to really introduce to our kids and make them feel comfortable from throwing from different angles. And you see that at the big league level all the time. Those guys are really good at what they do because they can change arm angles and they're accurate with really throwing it from the right hip or even over the top. And they practice it all the time. And that's what we try to do with our kids as well.
Yeah, another question here. Do we ever tie PFP or catchers into this? We will tie our catchers in there at the end with the infield in with tag plays. And then, occasionally sometimes with the slow roller on maybe like a safety with our first baseman, we may practice that a little bit. We take our pitchers after this session. Again, they're finishing up their daily throwing in left field while we're doing this with our infielders. So as soon as those guys are done and we've gone through this infield segment, we'll bring our pitchers down and we may do 2-man fungo where we're hitting just fungos to the left side of the infield for about, 3 minutes. And then when we go to the right side of the infield, our pitchers will come out and they'll cover the right side, just coming right off of their throwing and jumping in there and being part of that. So again, it's something that it's very specific. This is our position play. The next phase of practice for us is our team defense, where we'll try to tie everything in together. Okay, last thing I'll say with this before we move on to outfield play. As you get into this, as a young coach, I always was a little bit embarrassed with myself if one of your players had to make a play in a game that you hadn't coached and that you hadn't worked on. And that was always one of my things as a coach, is like, I don't want any of our players to encounter something in a game and we haven't worked on it and we haven't coached it. And that was really another part of this as well. Like, if we wanted to all of a sudden play another player at a position due to injury or something like that, I wanted him to be used to this and have something to go back to. And I think that's really helped us, especially with our versatility with our players, and more importantly, our accountability as coaches. Like, we're asking you to play a position and it's not something completely foreign to you. And we're hoping that there's nothing that you're going to encounter in a game that we haven't coached and we haven't addressed in practice.
Hi, this is Tracy Woodson, head baseball coach at the University of Richmond. The Virginia Baseball Coaches Association will be holding their membership drive beginning in January.
Sean Stifler here with VCU Baseball. Just wanted to take the opportunity to ask everybody, if they haven't already, to please sign up for or renew your membership.
And I want to encourage all coaches at every level to consider joining the VBCA this coming year, as well as mark their calendars to attend our annual convention, which will be held in December 2021.
I'd like to remind you to renew or join the VBCA. It's a great group helping keep baseball in this Commonwealth great.
Very good organization. We all have to kind of build it up and support it, and that's the way it's going to grow.
I'm really excited to get back to a face-to-face, person-to-person convention in December of next year and learn from some of the best coaches in the country that we're fortunate to have right here in our state.
Support the Virginia Baseball Coaches Association by either joining or renewing your membership to the VBCA for 2021. This is a great organization that we all as coaches can benefit and grow and learn.
We expect to really build this association, but we can't do it without you. So again, while I know it's difficult times on everyone, the pandemic will soon be over and we'll be getting back to life as normal. And let's be ready to hit the ground running with a great association.